Hey everyone, welcome to the first ever chemo cancer vlog. My name is Cassie DeBull and I'm 22 years old from San Antonio, Texas. And in 2016, in August, I was diagnosed with T-cell lymphoblastic lymphoma. So almost a year ago now. So there are a few reasons why I wanted to start this vlog now. And if I started it during my cancer treatment, I don't think I would have had too much energy, so I'm starting it a year into my treatment. So the first reason I wanted to start this vlog is to raise awareness for the young adult cancer community. The young adult cancer community is around age 18 to about 39 years old. And so this is a pretty big range, and I'm 22, so I fall on the lower end of this range. And when I was first put in the hospital for treatment, I was put on the adult ward. So I was with, 60 years old, 70 years old people, and about maybe one person my age. And that was a hard part of the treatment, is not knowing a lot of people my age going through this. And the second part that I wanted to talk about why I'm starting this vlog is that when I was in the hospital, I watched people's stories, their cancer stories, how they were diagnosed, and just their stories, and that just helped me get through the long days. And the third and final reason why I'm starting this vlog is because something really exciting is happening, and I'm going back to college. So I'm super excited about that. School starts in about 2 weeks. And yeah, this vlog, the first couple of vlogs, I'm going to talk about my diagnosis story, my cancer treatment story so far, and once school starts, I will still be in treatment, so I'll take you guys along for that. So my diagnosis story started May 2016. I had just finished my junior year of college, and I was having pain just up and down my neck right here, and it just wouldn't go away. It wasn't like I slept wrong on it. I could turn my head every way except to the left, and I tried to make an appointment with a primary care physician, but being a young adult, I hadn't been to the doctor in 3 years, so I didn't actually have a primary care physician. So instead of waiting, 2 weeks to be seen by a new doctor, I made my sister take me to urgent care, where they did like a strep test, a chest x-ray, and an EKG. So most of that came back normal, except for the EKG, and it wasn't anything serious, but they made me follow up with a cardiologist. So about halfway through June, I saw a cardiologist, and they did an echocardiogram, which is an ultrasound of your heart, and a stress test where you have to run on a treadmill. And these tests came back fine. They didn't see anything. And then eventually my neck pain just went away. This is the weirdest thing. And so I went the whole summer, spent half my summer in Italy on a university trip, and came back like the 1st of August of 2016. And about a week after my trip, I felt a lump right where that neck pain had been. And so I kind of took me a couple days to work up the courage to tell someone, because I was just nervous about it. And so I finally told my mom. My mom was like, okay, you're going to the doctor tomorrow. And our insurance allows us to skip primary care and go straight to a specialist. So I ended up going to an ear, nose, and throat doctor. And the first thing he did was blood test, and he checked me out. He could see the lump, and another symptom I had been having was at night, if I laid on my back, I would kind of wake up choking on my saliva. And I was also tired, which I cracked that up to being jet lagged from my university trip overseas. And I was also a little underweight, which I also cracked that up to just walking a lot. And so the blood test actually came back normal, but he wanted to go ahead and ultrasound the lump. So they did an ultrasound, and at first they were talking about thyroid issues, like Hashimoto's disease, but the ultrasound indicated that there's something there and that he wanted to do further testing. And by now it's about 2 weeks before my senior year of university is supposed to start. So I'm getting kind of nervous. And so I go for a fine needle aspiration biopsy, which is they lay you back in a chair, there's no numbing, and they stick what looks like a sewing needle into the lump that was right here. And after the procedure is done, you have to wait for the pathologist to go see if they got enough tissue to see if it worked, and it didn't. So they did it a second time, and it still didn't work. So they brought in the bigwig pathologist that was at this place, and he did it 2 more times. So 4 needles in my neck, no numbing. And the lump was too hard to penetrate, so that was a bust. Then once my ENT heard about that happening, he scheduled me for a CT scan right away. And I had the CT scan, came home. Hour later, my ENT is on the phone with me saying I have a tumor in my chest that goes from right above my heart to where that lump in my neck was. And that is when I started to freak out. I can remember crying after I found that out, and I was like, and he told me like, oh, it can be benign, like try not to worry about it, but I'm a young adult, I'm gonna worry about it. So, I was trying to figure out things like, oh, is it gonna be surgical? Like, I might have to miss school. And he's like, try not to worry about it. We're gonna schedule you for a core needle biopsy, which is different from a fine needle biopsy. A core needle biopsy has to be done in a hospital setting, outpatient patient. And I was scheduled for that Tuesday before school starts. So I had that done, and what they do, they just numb the area, kind of put you in a sedation zone so you don't remember anything, and they just make a little incision, and they stick this giant needle in your neck, and it sounds like a gun, but they pull the trigger and it pulls a piece of tissue out of the tumor. So they sent that off to pathology, and that Friday I had to drive up to my university, which is 6 hours away from San Antonio, but I had to go that day because I was meeting with a professor for one of my classes, and that was the only time we could meet, was the Friday right before school starts. So I went up on the Friday. I knew I was getting my pathology results that day. I knew my doctor was going to call me. So I'm like freaking out the whole day. And it gets to be 4 p.m. in the afternoon. I have moved into my dorm with all my stuff. So 4 p.m. rolls around. My ENT doctor calls me. He's like, do you have anyone with you? I'm like, no, I'm like walking in a parking garage going up to my dorm, and he's like, oh, well, let me call back in an hour. And so I was like, okay, hung up the phone. Like, you couldn't have just told me. And so I tried calling my best friend to come over, but she happened to be at church. And so exactly an hour later, my ENT called back. And of course, he was, I'm sorry to say, you have T-cell lymphoblastic lymphoma. And he immediately told me it's an aggressive, rare aggressive form of a blood cancer, similar to ALL, but it's highly curable. And then he basically said, I'm setting you up with an oncologist. He will call you later tonight. So by now, I'm freaking out. I'm crying. And then I have to call the rest of my family. So, and that was probably the hardest part of that night. And so I ended up calling my sister, my brother, my parents. I called one of my professors. And my friend finally came over and she made me eat pizza and ice cream. And so by that night I knew I was going to have to drop out of school. So of course I spent the next day repacking my dorm to go back home. And my parents came up and got me, which is very nice of them. And that is how I was diagnosed. So in my next vlog before school starts in 2 weeks, so in my next vlog before school starts, I'm going to explain what my treatment has been so far, and it'll probably have to be split into two vlogs because it gets complicated. So with that, be kind, be thankful, and be courageous.